Thank you, Bronwyn. And can I too extend a warm welcome to all of you attending our third conference for building surveyors. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which our head office is located, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. The VBA is committed to reconciliation with our First Nations people in employment and partnerships. We appreciate their love of and for country, and we respect their care and sustainability of this amazing land we all call home. Can I also thank the Honourable Richard Wynne, the Minister for Planning and Housing, for his opening address and detailing his commitment to the delivery of the more than 12,000 new social and affordable homes across our state. You've just heard from the VBA's first female Chief Commissioner. Welcome, Michelle. We're absolutely delighted to have you at the helm to drive Victoria's building regulation to the frontier. So what a year it's been. This time 12 months ago, the state had just been hit by some of the most devastating bushfires we'd endured in recent memory. When we thought 2020 could not get more challenging, coronavirus reared its head. And as we've seen in the start to 2021, the challenges associated with coronavirus are not yet behind us. Last year's Building Surveying Conference was the last public event the VBA held, and I must say it was not something that I anticipated when we bid you farewell. So we're really delighted in transitioning to an online event to have attracted record interest and attendance. And I'm advised we have close to 800 people participating over this two-day program. So thank you so much for your time and interest. This year's theme of reset and rebuild could not be more appropriate in our current climate. While coronavirus disrupted 2020, importantly, it also brought many in the industry together. And as a result, we start 2021 with a more unified and better positioned industry. And as the Building System Review Panel prepares to release its discussion paper, we embrace the opportunity to discuss and debate how the Victorian building system can and should change. Embracing the changes that have and will keep coming provide unique opportunities to develop a more resilient and vibrant industry. In doing so, though, we can't be blinkered to that we are operating in this fundamentally different environment, a new normal, with new financial, social and economic pressures that require skilled navigation. As I'm sure many of you are, I'm especially looking forward to the keynote presentations today from Dame Judith Hackett and Anna Cronin, who I'm sure will discuss this topic in much more detail. So I thought I'd share, first of all, look back at the activity in last year. And it's a positive sign of the strength and resilience of our industry that 113,430 building permits were issued in 2020. The highest since 1997. And that was a total cost of building works exceeding $40.8 billion, up from $3.83 billion in 2019. That story of growth, it's absolutely evident in regional Victoria, where we saw a jump in the number of permits and costs of works compared to the previous year. More than 41,000 permits worth just under $9 billion were issued in regional Victoria, compared to 34,000 permits worth $7.4 billion the year before. Interestingly, every single regional area experienced growth in the last 6 months of 2020. And maybe that's the early signs of this requisite shift in community needs. And despite Melbourne being in lockdown for a significant period, there was still a 6% increase in permits issued in metropolitan areas compared with 2019. And that was 72,000 permits compared with the 67,600 in 2019. So central to the issuing of building permits is you, Victorian building surveyors. And I can advise that the number of active registered building surveyors was close to 400 last year at 395. This was down on the years before, but it does compare to a total number of registered surveyors of just under 700 at the end of 2020, recognising that some people, registered people, are working in businesses with a principal building surveyor. I understand the average building permits issued was 285 and the highest was 4,000. So we know we need to do more, and plans and strategies to demonstrably boost these registrations, I'm sure, will be discussed over the coming days, as will those ongoing barriers to participation and making a profit, often associated with this limited access to affordable PI insurance and the growing policy excesses you all report. I know we share a sense of urgency to resolve these issues. We all want to accelerate new entrants into the profession and to provide those better transition pathways for those who are keen to scale back without actually having to leave the industry entirely. So 2020, the year that was COVID, and the industry performed incredibly well in spite of COVID, and an absolute credit to all of you involved. In March last year, we, the VBA, like many of you, shifted our functions to remote delivery in line with the state of the emergency. And like many organisations, we encountered significant adjustment issues, mainly related with aged IT infrastructure. And I know this resulted in delays and frustration for some of you, so thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for working with us as our services came back online. And while some of our ambitions were necessarily paused at every moment, the needs of the industry and community were at the heart of every decision we made, noting the difficulty sometimes in balancing competing needs. I am pleased to report that by June, we had mobilised a business systems transformation team to bring forward the modern technology interfaces we so desperately need. And while it takes time to properly build this infrastructure, we hope by calling on government's better regulatory approvals funding, we'll be able to deploy solutions to you faster. I'm confident that you will start to experience a digitally enabled and integrated VBA interface this year. For new entrants, this experience will involve online interviews and exams. That means you can take that exam anywhere, anytime from your home, and that will ensure that you've got less time on the paperwork and faster entry, I'm sure welcomed by all of us. And like all industries, COVID had a big impact on the building and construction sector. But what set our industry apart was the rapid mobilisation of industry bodies to focus on the safety of workers so we could keep the industry open. A building and construction industry task force was established to provide the direct linkages to the DHHS health team, to voice the position that construction workers are essential workers. And we collaborated intensively and proactively to develop the COVID safe guidelines. These are now in their 10th iteration, which reflects an agile and responsive working culture amongst the task force and all the industry participants. Importantly, though, these guidelines gave the government confidence that the industry could safely remain open. And I was fortunate to personally be involved in the work of the task force, and I experienced unprecedented cooperation, good faith and common goals towards safe outcomes for the workers and the community. And as a consequence, we were able to have a level of economic continuity for the industry that many other sectors were unable to have. At the VBA, we also participated with DHHS in responding to calls made to the state's COVID-19 hotline. And our team has since fielded over 25,000 calls, answering all queries related to the construction industry. And that important service continues today. We also knew that notwithstanding the building industry was remaining open, many in the industry would likely do it tough. So to provide some support, a fee relief to practitioners initiative was established. And to date, we've received more than 1,300 applications with more than 325,000 in waived registration fees. And this includes fee relief for 5 building surveyors. This initiative continues through to June 2021, so I really encourage those eligible to reach out and access it. In terms of COVID restrictions, they did enable us in a few spaces. They did enable us to bring forward some of the changes we already had underway, including remote video plumbing inspections. And they're showing really promising results, better results for practitioners and the consumers, and you'll hear more about this initiative tomorrow. You will also no doubt have seen VBA inspectors on building sites throughout the year. The proactive inspection program is a key early intervention initiative focused on picking up any of those gaps in building practices during construction. So on average last year, our inspectors attended about 216 sites each week. We had a total level of inspections of just over 11,000, building on our 2019 activity total of just under 10,000. You hopefully have also noticed that we're now reporting publicly on inspection findings, and I really encourage you to take note of what is being reported so you too can stay on track. Tomorrow you'll hear more on how we'll put into practice the insights and feedbacks we gather and get that back to you in education and other guidance material. I would like to acknowledge the positive feedback that I've received on this program from the industry. The key messages that are pointed out to me, it's just really important that we keep maintaining this current level of inspection activity while we also mature the program, given its importance to the industry at large. As the Minister outlined, the statewide cladding audit continued through 2020. And as you're probably aware, we do continue to put more into addressing non-compliant combustible cladding than any other jurisdiction. The pandemic, though, is hampering the inspection of properties by the VBA and also by experts assisting owners to address the outcomes of audits of their buildings. We do have a really big program of work underway with municipal building surveyors, owners corporations and Cladding Safety Victoria. And this includes the release of acquittal guidelines developed in collaboration with councils, undertaking targeted research and participating in over 100 building appeals board proceedings to date. And our shared approach to reducing fire safety risks associated with non-compliant combustible cladding, so people are safe and feel safe, continues to mature as we all learn more. We've also had a lot of interest from the UK in the statewide cladding audit program. We hosted a delegation from the UK government last March, and more recently we've been fielding interest in the outcomes of our research into the fire performance of extended polystyrene. Our team is also compiling a building stock data that will, over time, provide a really valuable resource for councils, as well as a digital database which could be integrated into a whole of building system record repository. And as all of you will know, the Building Surveyor Code of Conduct was developed, shared with industry last June, and then came into effect the 1st of this year. And again, we've had very positive feedback about the importance of that code. In terms of our research program, you'll see from on this slide that we are very passionate about industry change through research and development. And we know that systems that do not accommodate legitimate building innovations become irrelevant. So I'm pleased to say that the program took a really big leap forward in 2020, and 2021 will be no different. We're at the point where we're now collaborating with leading researchers and industry experts right across the globe. We're also encouraging Australia's brightest minds to apply for grants to carry out research across 3 domains that will help make buildings safer, improve the competency of building and plumbing practitioners, or support a technology advanced and innovative industry. And this new program offers financial and in-kind support to successful applicants who must be a researcher from an Australian university or TAFE. And I'm delighted to share that with a recent briefing on this program, more than 100 people from the higher education sector attended. So we are thrilled with the strong interest we are getting. Another area of absolute passion and interest for us is digitally enabled compliance, given its potential to unlock significant value in the approvals process. And so the VBA has partnered with other government agencies and Brimbank Council on the Digital Twin project, which is an end-to-end digital development process. This project aims to speed up the bureaucratic side of planning, simplifying the process for practitioners and all involved. And we see synergies in its future application for building approval processes and for better data to underpin the life cycle management of buildings. So very exciting things. I'm really pleased to be involved and look forward to seeing this in our part of the system sometime soon. Turning to our people, so a big part of improving our standing as an effective regulator is by having leaders who can instil their knowledge in our people and the wider industry. That process started in 2019 with the appointment of Andrew Trelawney as the State Building Surveyor. And I'm pleased to say we've continued to make significant appointments over the last 12 months, hiring some of the best and brightest technical and strategic experts. This includes our Acting Chief Operations Officer, Alison Byrne, who came to us from the Queensland Building and Construction Commission and whose core craft is regulatory operations. Alison's focus is on using intelligence-led enforcement to ensure practitioners are doing the right thing and stepping in to help them when they need it. David Black, who heads up our technology team, also came to us from QBCC in the middle of the year. David's role is to transform the VBA into a leader in digital technology, no small task, and also to drive digital take-up right across the building system. You'll hear more from Alison, I think, after me, and then from David tomorrow, so stay tuned to where we're going in those spaces. You might recall that last year we also spoke about the importance of boosting the VBA's capacity in fire engineering. And I'm thrilled to share that respected fire engineer, Dr. Weng Po, joined our team as the Principal Fire Safety Engineer. Dr. Po works closely with Andrew Trelawney and other operational areas of the VBA on all matters related to fire safety. He also advises us on a range of strategic issues relating to fire safety, including regulatory frameworks, practitioner competencies, and key stakeholder relationships. During the year, our operational remit continued to expand, and that has resulted in the need for broader financial management capability. So we hired Ian Shinkfield, who has decades of global experience in the commercial sector, to join the team as our Chief Financial Officer. And I'm also really pleased to announce that Dr. Todd Bentley will be joining the VBA very soon, in fact on the 1st of March, in a newly created Chief Risk Officer role. Todd's expertise in applying risk and assurance approaches, including in rail safety, will be immensely valuable as we all work together to get Victoria's construction practices and processes at the frontier of safety, quality and integrity. So what does this all mean for us and the industry? So coronavirus has certainly drawn a line in the sand. We know the way Victorians work and what they value has changed forever. Industry players should be preparing for a fundamentally different new normal. We know balance sheets are likely to be under further duress as a result of coronavirus impacts. And to improve those balance sheets, practitioners and suppliers are likely to be looking to shed risk. And this could include transferring risk elsewhere in the production system. And this is all occurring right at the same time where those key drivers for change will converge, whether that be the rapidly forming digital frontier, accelerated developments in 3D printing and robotics, demand for resilient building stock in the face of climate change or just how we've changed living through coronavirus, those shifting consumer preferences, and not to mention those big policy reform agenda pieces we have all sought to drive more confidence in the system. So for an industry that operates on low profitability and high risk, the stakes are high. What we do see is the federal government's Home Builder grant scheme and the state's government schools initiative and the big housing build is having a really positive flow-on effect for many in the industry as that work commences. You might be aware that the Home Builder Grant Scheme has already generated over 21,500 Victorian applications at the end of December 2020, with just over 17,000 on new builds and the remaining for renovations. So I'd say this stimulus package is a reflection of the state and federal government's confidence in the building and construction industry to help the economic recovery. However, we know that with stimulus packages comes a strong demand for increased delivery of construction and building outcomes over a short period of time. And this puts pressure on an industry already dealing with skills shortages and other issues. It also means that the role of building surveyors play in checking for compliance and safety will be even more critical. More than ever, we must all work together to deliver the compliance and safety outcomes that the public not only expect, but are entitled to. So what does it mean for the VBA? Well, at the VBA, we too will be shifting gear. The Chief Commissioner will lead a strategy refresh to uplift our regulatory effectiveness over the next 4 years. We'll seek to work harder than we've ever have before with those stakeholders who seek genuine cultural change and restoration of industry-wide pride. We'll also focus more of our enforcement effort on working with practitioners who want to comply with the rules and are willing to uplift their capabilities. With a big regulatory change agenda in front of us, we must become proficient at change as usual. So we'll be embedding change management, communication, data insights, digital literacy, and sector intelligence as core regulatory competencies in our people. And we'll work with our partners to bring forward those legitimate innovations so critical to Victoria's economic growth. And part of shifting gear is the VBA is about holding ourselves to account. So I am pleased today to launch a new VBA integrity complaints line. This line, which is open now, and if you go onto our website, enables practitioners and members of the public to raise a general complaint or raise an integrity matter about the VBA or a VBA employee directly with us. The Code of Conduct set a high standard for building surveyors, and we're committed to holding ourselves to an even higher standard as we build a unified VBA culture. And when I addressed this conference in 2019, I was clear that the VBA needed to lift its game and shift its mindset. And whilst we are under no illusion that more needs to be done to be at the frontier, I believe that together we have demonstrated solid progress. And I know when we gather again in 2022, we'll be sharing another 12 months of demonstrable improvement and greater accountability. So 2021, we have a very big, exciting, but somewhat challenging year ahead. The building and construction industry is and will continue to be the lifeblood of our economy, and building surveyors are a vital conduit to its health and safety. Can I finish this presentation by thanking Andrew Cellini and the entire comms team at the VBA who have worked so hard to bring together an outstanding program of events for you over the next 2 days. Can I also thank Bronwyn for facilitating the conference. We are so privileged to have someone of Bronwyn's calibre leading the discussion, and also recognise the contribution that Bronwyn keeps making to our industry. So enjoy the conference. I look forward to working with you throughout the year. Stay safe.